Hey there and welcome. My name is Jenny and I'm Coach Brightside, and I am doing this series all about breastfeeding support for nursing moms who are new to motherhood or moms to be that just kind of need a little bit of advice and encouragement. So just a disclaimer before we get started, I am not a lactation consultant. I'm not a medical professional. I'm just a mom who has experience with nursing two children. So with that said, take my advice as you would like. Do your own research, seek professional help if you need it, but just know that I'm here to support you guys if you need my advice and encouragement. So today's video, I just kind of wanted to talk about supply and demand type of thing. So a big question I've heard, and one that I often wondered myself, is how much does baby need? Well, the cool thing is your baby is telling your body how much they need. So, example, if your baby nurses for 5 to 10 minutes per side every 2 to 4 hours, which is a typical nursing session for a brand new baby, your body is going to produce enough for your baby to have 5 to 10 minutes worth of milk on either side. There are different phases of the milk. There's the fatty part of the milk, and then there's the not as much fat part of the milk. So when your baby starts nursing, they get the really fatty, good, nutritional stuff. And then as the nursing session progresses, then it's still good nutritional stuff. It's just not as high fat content. So once your baby gets on a routine with nursing, that is going to signal your body and tell your body whether or not it needs to make more or make less to accommodate the baby's needs. Now, a lot of times women who work outside of the home or who need to build up their own stock of milk in the freezer for whatever reason the case may be, there's lots of different scenarios, then they're going to do what is called creating an oversupply, which they would pump in between feedings. I know with myself, when I was nursing my son when he was a baby, so last summer, he was probably 6 or 7 months at the time. I left for about 4-ish days and I went to Nashville for a work trip. And it was the first time I'd ever left while nursing, the year before I was pregnant. So I hadn't experienced it before, but I got myself a pump, which I'm not going to go into detail about those yet. That's another video. But what I had to do after I would nurse, I would have to pump for a few minutes so that my body would produce more because I needed to build up more of a supply than what the baby needed. So what I would do is pump for 5 to 10 extra minutes and my body would produce enough to feed my son, but then also give me enough to create some storage of the milk so that while I was gone, his needs would be met. I know that a lot of working moms do that. They'll nurse their babies while they're with them in the presence of their child, but then once they're at work, they have their own supply just to avoid having to do formula. So your body's going to produce what the baby needs. When your baby is brand new, it's about 2 to 4 hours, 5 to 10 minutes, but that is just dependent on the baby and dependent on your body. That could be different by pregnancies. So your first child, nursing them could be a different experience than nursing your second child. So don't think that one person's answer is the answer for everybody, because it's not. It's different for every single person, every body, every pregnancy. When your body is producing milk, you're going to burn about 500 extra calories per day. So what you need to do is make sure that you're eating regularly. You need to eat good, healthy choices, and you need to be fueling your body and hydrating regularly. You need to be as self-conscious of what goes in your body while nursing as you did while you were pregnant. Because what the makeup of your milk, the content, the vitamins and nutrients you're getting from the foods that you're eating. So if you eat something spicy, it may irritate your baby's tummy, or it may affect them a little bit. I've read different research materials that say that if you eat a lot of a certain thing, babies can taste that in your milk, and then they will like it later on down the road because they were used to tasting it in the milk. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I've read before, but do your own research as far as that. Alcohol is a really controversial topic. I think it all just depends on who you ask. I've seen lots of research that goes both ways. One saying don't drink while you nurse, one saying it doesn't matter. The research that I've read that sticks out the most is that it's not so much the alcohol that's in the breast milk, because what I've read is by the time it goes into your milk, because it's all through blood and everything, by the time all that comes into your milk, I have read that the concentration of the alcohol is so low, it's not going to affect the baby. Now, obviously, if you're a very heavy drinker, that's going to be a whole different story. But if you're considering having a glass of wine with dinner, or having a beer with friends or something, and then turning around, going home and nursing, that's all, I think, completely up to your discretion. I know that a big rule of thumb is that you need to be sober enough to be able to care for your baby. So if you're a nursing mother and you want to have a drink, use your own discretion. Don't go crazy with it. But know that you still have to care for the baby when you get home. So don't get all sloppy. You know what I'm saying? Galactagogues, I think is how you say it. Some women, now there's really no scientific evidence about this. It's all like anecdotal, mothers and old wives' tales, and going back and forth telling, one mom what worked for her and what worked for this mom. It's herbs and foods that help with your milk supply. So if you feel like your milk is a little bit low, there are foods out there. It's called a galactagogue. I'm going to put a full list on my blog, but basically the high things on the list are your whole grains, like your oatmeals, your dark leafy greens, and then nuts, which are especially almonds. But there are a whole other list of things that you could put in your diet to help with your milk supply. Now, again, there's nothing scientific that says that works, because I think it's just one of those things where it all depends on the body and the baby. So I don't think there's really, to keep people clear and cover themselves, I don't think anybody's willing to say, yes, this does, no, this doesn't. But there are foods. I know that there's recipes going around. I'll share one about lactation cookies, which they're really good, and they're not going to all of a sudden make you spew milk if you're not someone that's lactating, but they'll help build your supply a little bit. Fenugreek is a supplement that you can take. That's something that I took with both of my kids when I was trying to build up my supply. The funny thing about it, though, is it's going to make you smell like pancakes. When you perspire and when your natural smells come out of your body, once the fenugreek is in your system, you're going to smell like a stack of pancakes. And it's kind of funny. And your baby is going to taste that in your milk. But once you stop taking it, the smell does go away. But if you have an aversion to smells, if you're really sensitive to that stuff, I wouldn't take it. Another thing that a lot of people suggest, and I tried this myself, I could not stomach it, but it's called mother's milk tea, and it's made from anise seeds, which is the same thing that licorice is made out of, and I don't like the taste of licorice. I don't like the smell of it. It just turns my stomach. So that's something I could not do, but I've heard a lot of people have success with it. And then oatmeal every morning. I've heard people say have it every day. And then just a good rule of thumb with your water is make sure you're staying hydrated. You do not want to be dehydrated ever, but especially while you're nursing. So if you have a little nursing station set up, maybe you're in the nursery every time you nurse with a little chair and a table beside you, put a couple of bottles at that table for you so that every time you nurse, you're going to have yourself some water, because you don't ever want to get to the point of dehydration. You just are going to feel really yucky, and it's not going to be a good situation. And then food, you need to be making sure that you are eating enough. You need to make sure you're making good, healthy choices. you're eating often. You need to eat often anyway as a normal human being to help with your metabolism. But something that I wanted to touch on too is that there's this common misconception that I'm going to nurse my baby and I'm going to lose all my pregnancy weight right away and I'm going to get super skinny and it's going to be amazing because the baby's just going to suck all the fat right out of me. Some people, that is very true. That does happen. But it's not necessarily because you were breastfeeding. It just, yes, you burn 500 calories because of the milk production, but breastfeeding and nursing your baby does not equate to fast weight loss. And I don't want you guys that are considering nursing to get discouraged if the weight doesn't come off. Some people have metabolic issues while they're nursing, so the wait takes a little bit longer. That's the case for me with both of my pregnancies. It doesn't matter how much I work out or how well I'm eating while I'm nursing, my metabolism is very slow. And it's the way it is. When I stop nursing, it gets back up and I lose the weight. But if you don't lose the weight right away, don't get discouraged. But then again, it may not be the case for you. You may lose your pre-pregnancy, or you may get to pre-pregnancy weight right away. It may be a lot quicker for you. So while you've got the 500 calories that you're burning extra every day from making the milk, just keep in mind that you have to be making good choices in between that. So have food every few hours, have snacks, have full meals, don't skip your breakfast, and just make good conscious decisions. Remember that your milk is made up of the nutrients and the vitamins that you're consuming in your food and what you're drinking, and you want to be able to nourish your baby as best as you can, because that's the whole point of breastfeeding, right? Is you want your nourishment to go to the baby. So a lot of doctors will tell you continue your prenatal vitamin even after pregnancy. Do it while you're nursing. Some will even tell you even when you're not nursing, just as a woman, it's a good thing to do. They're good vitamins to have. I, for one, opt out of the multivitamin because I have my shakes every single day. I have superfood shakes and it takes the place of it. I do supplement with vitamin D because my vitamin D I'm deficient, and a lot of people are stay-at-home moms, especially because you're not out in the sun. You're not naturally out there getting your natural source of vitamin D from the environment. So that's a good thing to supplement with, is the vitamin D. But always ask your pediatrician if you're unsure of foods you should be eating. Do your own research. If you're concerned about how much your baby's getting, if they're having regular poos and pees, chances are that they're doing just fine. It's really hard to tell how much they're getting because if you were to pump to see, there's no way to know because a pump is not the same as your baby. You're not going to get the same amount. So if you're ever unsure, if you're ever concerned, consult with your pediatrician. If you ever need advice, of course, I'm here. I have my experiences that I can share with you guys. But if you ever need professional help, ask the lactation consultant at the hospital you deliver at. They are there. They're there to help. When you deliver and you let them know you're going to nurse, one will come meet with you and talk to you and help you to get on the right track. And then again, consult with your pediatrician. Also, I'll link it down in the blog, but the International League of Lactation Consultants, I think it's ILLC, they are like the big, huge organization for lactation consultants, and they are a wealth of information. They would be happy to help you if you ever have any questions. And I know that this was a lot of information packed into this video, but I hope that it answered some of your questions. Of course, I will have more information on the blog, more links. I'm going to include some recipes for you guys of those galactagogues that I shared with you, and I'll have a list as well of more things that you can incorporate in your diet and your recipes. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I am an open book. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. I love you all so much. And as always, be bright, my friends. I love you. Mwah. Bye.